Good afternoon for everyone. My name is André Biancarelli. I'm lecturer and researcher here at the Institute of Economics, and I am currently the director of the Institute, and I'm here with a great pleasure to open this third international school. We are sorry for the late. We are waiting for the representative for our international office that is coming, but 20 minutes is enough to wait. I will pass firstly, we have in this session the presence of Jay, who is the director or manager of the Young Scholars Initiative. I will pass the floor to him to start this brief session, and then we listen our colleague from International Office. Jay, please.
Well, thanks very much, André, and thank you everybody for being here, and thank you for having me here. What do I say? I think I gave you a hint of what is important about the YSI presence at the school and why we're very grateful for being here. I could talk a little bit about a bit more background about the organization that YSI is part of, which is the Institute for New Economic Thinking. I think that's a very good thing to bring to consciousness what the organization in principle is aiming to do. I think we all share some broad aims and remind us about those aims. But then I think I would like to bring it back to our personal level and what we can achieve here in the school, not just in these couple of days, but taking it into the next sort of weeks, months, and building our career as young scholars. So let me briefly start and ask and say, why are we even here with, why is INET interested, why is the Young Scholars Initiative interested in these types of events? So INET was founded in the context of the global financial crisis 2008. And this was a massive economic crisis, but at the same time, it was also a crisis of economic thinking. So at least we thought. We did not see the crisis coming. The large part of the profession, at least, did not see the crisis coming. The mainstream did not see it coming. It did not know how to handle it as it was unfolding. And as the crisis was passing along into other crises that we're now seeing unfolding as a consequence, there are very few prescriptions that the mainstream actually can give within the framework of the new classical model that make any substantial sense. And I'm not going to go into the same critique that you've heard a million times before, but let me tell you from my personal experience of working in the organization for 10 years and being in touch with many different groups, what I think is at stake, especially also in Brazil and Latin America, but in the United States and Europe, everywhere. I think we have, as a consequence of how we organize knowledge and economics and in general, given up on the function of how knowledge, the social function of how knowledge is generated and how we advise or have intellectual knowledge enter society. This function is might be broken, not just in economics, but in general. There's a disconnect between what we call science and the social discourse, the big questions. And so I think we have to rethink in many ways, not just economics, but what is a progressive cause? How do we reconnect with the emotional side of people? And I think this is a problem, not just this is actually at the heart of the progressive problem. At least I could say this in the United States. If you look at the Democratic Party, you could look at any party, even parties in Latin America have to reconnect with the emotional side of the electorates. And I think this reformulation is not done. We are far from it because if we look at our societies, they are divided everywhere. And this, in my opinion, has to do with a failure of emotional intelligence and a failure of really touching people in the space where we need to be touching them. And that's, I think, a failure across the board in the mainstream and in the heterodox spaces as well. I think we're not really touching people where it hurts. In the United States, for example, we've gone down the rabbit hole of identity politics, which alienates the working class. It makes them the enemy instead of sort of another class or other people. So we have made a mistake potentially in the left with formulating this technocratic answer to these questions. And this makes it very easy for demagogues to capture that space, that emotional space that we know that right-wing populists are so good at capturing. So what is the speech? What is it all about? I think what we need to do is not try so hard to be right, but try harder to be together. And I think this is a hard thing because the academy and knowledge generation is all about being right about very, very specific things. But nobody is learning or achieving knowledge that is general. There is no reward for it. Nobody will give you a Nobel Prize for being a generalist anywhere. The social function that we currently have set up in the academy is for being right or correct or generating knowledge on a very, very microscopic level and having trouble of generalizing that knowledge in other spaces. Now, this is a big project that we all have in our generation that we have to solve if we are going to make progress in any way, in reintegrating society. Because I would like you to talk to your grandmother who's voting for Bolsonaro, you can't talk to anymore. I would like to talk to my family who's on the other side, not have this end the conversation. So we have to find different conversation, other ways of doing it. And I don't have the answer, but this is the big question we have to know about doing. Okay? So YSI and this project is also about these types of engagements. It's about you learning how to cooperate, being a good citizen, creating win-win situations, use the opportunities we're given, and create better environments for everybody. And you will see good things happen when you have a positive attitude, when you bring a good environment to different places, if you're a good partner. And it's not necessarily about being right, but it's about being persistent about the right things, about the right environments, about the right values, and it's about living those things. So maybe when you ask your professors over lunch or something else, the good professors will try to help you be you. They will help you try for you to discover who you are and be the person that you want to be. And that's a difficult task. We don't really exactly know at our age what we really want. But we will, if the professor has something to offer, we will take their intellectual insight, but we don't have to become a disciple, or we don't have to push their particular agenda of being right. We can choose ourselves to cooperate and recombine knowledge. So that's basically the main message that you probably haven't heard before. But this brings us together with many different conversations that we might not have otherwise. But this is also a space to bring these big questions into our discourse, that we have to also answer those big questions again. In 2006, when we entered the financial crisis, we had the idea somehow in economics that we've solved the big questions. We can all be technocrats. And now the big questions are back. And we have to solve those big questions. So I think that's a little bit what this initiative is about. And I just wanted to sort of frame this opening also in this sense. But yeah, I'll just hand over to you and continue the conversation. Hope you guys appreciate the opportunity and appreciate also the fact that we can keep working together for a very long time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jay. So, pass the floor to Professor Alfredo Cesar from our international office. Okay.
Thank you for the opportunity to talk to you guys, and I want to welcome you. Unicamp. This is a very fortunate event that I've been told this is the first time we're having this present meeting. And I think, tell me if I'm wrong, there have been meetings before online because of COVID, and we're delighted to have you guys here. And we are also very glad supporting this event as our international office. And I'd like to tell you guys that Unicamp is very open. We're trying to international students to really kinds of preparation. We are currently, we have 18, roughly speaking, 18,000 students as undergrads, another 17,000 as grad students. We like to be more, welcome more people at our campus, and we're doing a lot of effort to do so. We're trying to establish a number of courses taught in English, all the academic units of the Unicamp, so international students can enroll more easily in our programs. We are also trying to work harder on teaching English for our grads. We are really glad that Unicamp can become this kind of really diverse campus with the presence of people coming from all backgrounds, socially, ethnically, and national-wise. So from all nationalities, and so I'd like to give this welcome name of our international office, and also tell you that we are available if you have any kind of problem in your stay. We are here to help you, and if you have any idea of collaboration with our university, we're also here to move forward any kind of proposal of this kind. So, welcome to the company. We're very glad to be here.
Thank you, Alfredo. And now officially, it's a great pleasure and a great satisfaction to be here representing the Institute of Economics, opening this third edition of our International School on Development Challenges. Welcome to everybody who is from far away from here, and thank you very much for the opportunity. Our happiness is in part, of course, because of the possibility to host an in-person edition after 2 years of online schools. We had in 2019 a preview of these international schools. It was a BRICS winter school organized by Google, but in this format, International School on Development Challenges is the third edition, and in our opinion, the previous editions were excellent, and the possibility to bring together people from different places using Zoom and things like that was very good. But fortunately, those times hopefully are past. Nothing can substitute personal contact, interactions, especially among the students. Well, additionally for me, this edition has a special meaning. Following discussions about productive structure and industrial policies and technology in 2020, and the wide topic of inequalities last year, it's time to focus our attention on money, finance, and development. In my suspicion opinion, we could arrange, unite a list of interesting and different perspectives on the topic, with activities in groups and 11 lectures, 4 of them from our institute and 7 other distinguished specialists from other. Well, we have here people from different countries and universities. I don't know how many of you are informed about Unicamp in our school. And then using some notes I wrote recently for a compilation of important translated texts from our professors, I will give you some ideas about our school. The institute was born in the late 1960s, still as the Economics and Economic Planning Department of the Institute of Philosophy and Human Science, crossing the street down there, of the recently established University of Campinas at that time. Since its beginning, the institute represented an intellectual project rather than only an academic body. The departing point was the regional perspective of the Native American structuralist schools, which emerged in the 1940s with the seminal work of Raul Prebisch, and that, at that time, represented an authentic and autonomous way of thinking about development in this region of the globe. It was kind of an early preview of the current decolonized economics that was in trend. Two decades later, a group of young economists brought together in an infant university during the worst phase of the military dictatorship in Brazil, following the same path, but adding novelties and criticism to the ECLAC's original approach. Trying to understand the specificities of the origins and development of the capitalism in Brazil, those collective discussions were able to mobilize different theoretical inputs and tools, always with creativity, accuracy, and independence. The result was an original interpretation which throughout the following 5 decades was updated, renewed, and transformed not only by the changes and challenges of the Brazilian economy, but also by the evolution of both the international economy and economic thinking in Brazil and worldwide. Especially after the debt crisis and return of international private capital flows to Brazil and Latin America during the 90s, the monetary and financial 80s and 90s, the monetary and financial aspects of the development gained much more importance than before. And here, in Campinas, important ideas and contributions were developed in this direction. From early versions of the financialization ideas to the nature and different qualities of national currencies domestically and abroad, and other topics. But for a long time, most of these contributions were written, taught, and published only in Portuguese, which is frequently a problem both from international students attending courses here and for the outward circulation of these ideas. Not only those books I mentioned, with historical articles of Institute of Economics that in some weeks will be available for download, but also initiatives like this one, this school, are fundamental efforts of internationalization. More than this, they are an institutional invitation to the dialogue, collaboration, and cross-fertilization of ideas with other theoretical and empirical perspectives, as well as researchers around the world. Thank you all for joining us on this journey. Well, domestically, here, a lot of people worked a lot to organize this school, and now it's fair and necessary to mention them. Carolina Baltar was the leader of the project of the schools since the beginning, the first edition. This time was not different. Mariano Laplani, Alex Paloneto, who's here also, Roberto Borghi, Bruno De Conti, were and are fundamental to invitations, search for support, and other tasks. Ana Rosa Mendonça and Simone Deus were also fully dedicated to the event, as well as Rosângela Valim and Sérgio Gatuca were there also, dealing with academic, bureaucratic, financial, logistics, and other unusual needs of an event like this. Thank you very much for the commitment to this very important and collective project of our institute. But certainly nothing of this would be possible without the impressive support of Camila Ventura, who can. Thank you very much. The Institute, obviously, and now also thank our guest speakers, Professors Robert Gutmann, André Montanese, Rogério Studer, Fernando Ferrari, Fadel Cabu, I don't know if I pronounced it correctly, and Gary Kinsky, and Philippe Gauchon, who accepted our invitation to join our school. And our own professors, Ana Rosa, Simone, and Ricardo Carneiro, who will also give lectures on the following sessions. Last but not least, I had to do this. Last but not least, we also acknowledge the support received from the Young Scholars Initiative of INET, represented here by Jay, from our Unicamp International Office, represented by Professor Alfredo, and from Campinas. Thank you very much, our supporters. Well, we hope all of you enjoy the week and that we can exchange ideas and knowledge. Thank you very much.